We are going to be doing a how to remove the stock filter or air cleaner, which is right here. And we're going to be installing a different air cleaner, which should breathe a little easier. So if you guys have kept up with the channel at all, you know I've gone through my fair share of air cleaners. So, I mean, the taking this off is going to be pretty much the same for everybody. If you have an Iron 883. Installing the air cleaner is going to be a little different depending on which one you get and which kind of breather system you go with. So this is going to be very specific for like my bike, especially because my jugs don't line up with the breather bolts and the backing plates. So I had to kind of set up my own thing. We'll get to that whenever we get there. So let's go ahead and start taking the old one off. All right, so to get started in taking this one off, you're going to use either Allen key or a hex bit socket. You're going to take these two bolts out, which is going to draw off this little front face plate here, and it's going to loosen this top part. You'll be able to pull it out. After that, you've got these Torx bolts. So you're going to get a Torx bit. All right, so these are T25 Torx bits, so let's go ahead and take those out. That's going to pull off just like that. Now those screws are not retained. They do come out if you press them through. I just didn't pull them out all the way. So. At this point, you're going to need to take out the breather bolts, which are here and here, which requires a socket. Traditionally, you want to get a deeper socket. I was able to make this one work. All right, that entire piece comes off just like that. At this point, all you have left is the little bracket piece right here. That is going to be a Allen key or a hex bit as well. All right, so it's pretty simple stuff. At this point, go ahead and clean up all of this stuff. There'll probably be some oil, some blow by, like in these. So yeah, clean all that up, and I put back the stock air cleaner all back together like this. Yeah, so if you guys go ahead and put everything back together, put those bolts back in, you should be able to kind of just keep it all together and in one piece. Oh. And you will need this little piece right here, so go ahead and take that off. Your new air cleaner might come with it. If not, it's still nice to have them. Don't rip it or anything. It's basically like a gasket that'll go in between the throttle body, between the air cleaner, so you know no air seeps in. All right, so I've got that all cleaned up, wiped down, making sure there's nothing in there. Oil's all cleaned up, and we're ready to go ahead and install the new air cleaner. So this is where it's going to pretty much divert paths depending on which air cleaner system you've got. I've got kind of a hybrid weird thing that I put together. I've got this air cleaner, which says Figure Machine, bought it off of eBay, which has a solid backing plate. But then I also have a bracket from DK Customs. I also previously had the external breather bolts from DK Customs, but those were putting a lot of blow by on the side of the bike. Would get on the exhaust here and the oil tank there, so I'm going with a different external breather system, which is the hoses and the filter. So that should keep that from happening. Like I said, depending on which air cleaner system you've gotten, just follow the instructions from there and install yours how it says it should be installed. Gotten you this far, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how I install mine. So where this bracket is, there's going to be a little hole. A lot of places will give you a little screw or bolt to go in there just to kind of fill it in, snug it down. So at this point, whatever kit you got should have a bracket that's going to go here. You want to make sure that you have your gaskets. Some require one gasket on one side, some require a gasket on both sides. The one I have requires it on both sides. So gasket there, gasket there. That's the one you pulled off your old intake. There also needs to be a couple of washers in between here to fill up that gap. Spacers. Big factor here also, depending on what breather system you go with, if you're going to have your breather bolts basically coming out of here, they might go back into the air cleaner. So yeah, I'm basically going to lose stuff. Going to have washer and then bracket, and then I'm going to insert that. So. All right, so the breather bolts are in. At this point, you're not really going to tighten anything down. Just kind of hand tighten it. Make sure everything's lined up. Here, here, here. At this point, we're going to put on the backing plate for the new one. It should line up. All right, at this point, all those lined up. Backing plate has been put on. I'm gonna worry about these in a little bit because these are like keys for the breather bolts because this backing plate is designed for the blow-by to go back in, but I'm routing it externally. So I'm gonna have to find some bolts, basically plug that up like I just had it, but they're a little shorter because I need clearance there. So, like I said, at this point, you can probably go ahead and snug these down, and you're going to put your filter on there, and then you're going to put the faceplate over it. All right, you can go ahead and get that faceplate on there. Now, on these screws and bolts, you definitely be using Loctite. Learn from my past mistake. I've got a video where a previous filter fell off. So, you know, just a little drop of blue Loctite on these. All right, so we're gonna add the hoses and the clamps to the external breather system. Let's go ahead and do that. All right, went ahead and ran the hoses, put the clamps on, ran it up to the filter way up here. That would be ridiculous. Now, you definitely have to trim the hoses. Let's have it set like kind of right here. Go ahead and trim those off. All right, at this point we've got the tubes trimmed up. Things kind of angled correctly. No kinks really. I don't really have anything snug down at the moment, but at this point, whatever filter you're installing, if it's just the filter and not an external breather system, you can go ahead and snug everything down. If you have torque specs, look at torque specs. Yeah, and like I said, just make sure you use Loctite because this is right on the side of the engine. It's gonna shake, so be sure to use Loctite in any bolts. In these, there's the 3 in there. Use Loctite on those. And at that point, you're good to go. Air cleaner installed. If you haven't looked into a fuel management system yet, I would recommend going and looking at that. If you have an exhaust, air cleaner, and a fuel management system, then congratulations, you've got a stage 1 kit all said and done. So, hope this